here to talk about monogamy, clarify monogamy. When I really think about monogamy through my own experiences, I actually end up with three types of monogamy. But first of all, the reason why I'm making this video is because I also see from my experiences that the vast majority, almost all, of disagreements, arguments, and even fights are just misunderstandings. So that's why this is clarifying this time monogamy to try to close the gap of those misunderstandings. So, what is monogamy? First, I'll just say in one word, commitment. Monogamy is simply to commit, the act of committing. So, we'll find out we can commit to multiple different things, though. The traditional thing that most people mean when they say they're monogamous, at least in our society, is that they mean they're monogamous with one other person. Romantically, sexually, emotionally, whatever it may be. It means they've made the decision to commit to one person. This is romantic, sort of. It's definitely idealistic. It's very committed. To commit to one person, I don't think most people, from my experience, really take into account what that actually means. Just like in a lot of wedding ceremonies, people say through sickness and health. I mean, monogamy, to commit to one person, means through anything. They could become handicapped. They could die. They could die suddenly. They could change very drastically as a person. The possibilities are strong. There's a lot of possibilities that person may not be someone that you want to be committed with, but too bad. That's what monogamy means. You're committed to that person now. You've done it. Otherwise, you're not monogamous. That's not monogamy, because that's not commitment. Doesn't have an if afterwards. Okay, so it's ultimately really sweet, but it's pretty close-minded. Let me ask you this. Might want to ask yourself this question. Do you really think out of the whole world you found the one person that is the best person to commit to? Because once you're monogamous with that person, you're monogamous with that person. Alright, so that kind of nudges us into what people really mean, most people mean when they say that, when they talk about being monogamous in that way. And that's that they're monogamous, they're monogamous with the principles, with certain principles they like, not the person. Principles like honesty, good, sweet principles, all the things you want in a person, maybe things you want in yourself. It could come down to even just organization or spontaneity and adventure or, good looks even. Whatever it is, these are principles that are not committed to one person, but they are just out there. So, this I don't have a problem with, but the issue between these two forms of monogamy we've talked about so far is that there's this third form actually. There's this actually third form here in the middle between these two that we've talked about so far. The third form in the middle is dishonest, essentially, at its root. It's when people say they are committed, they're monogamous to the person, but they really mean, in practice and in action and everything that actually matters or counts, they really mean and are committed or monogamous to principles that they want. These are the people who devote themselves to marriages traditionally and then quit them, because it doesn't have to be as formal as marriage, but it could just be like a promise, expectation, devotion to someone in any type of relationship, if you quit that commitment that you delivered, at least delivered the promise of, then you're not actually monogamous after all. Whoa, this happens a lot. Happens more than I want to see around, and that's why I'm hopefully trying to shed some light on this, shed some clarity with this video. So this is just flat out dishonest. How can you promise? To promise commitment to someone, and then when they change in a way that doesn't fit for you, doesn't work for you with what you want, you kick them out or replace them or lessen them, water it down, maybe just change what they are in your mind so that it justifies your decision for yourself. None of that is what these people promised. And by these people, I've done it personally, but this is not a personal video. About me, at least. But the point is, there's deep dishonesty there, and that should go. It should be very clear that I'd say like the absolute vast majority of people who say they're monogamous are actually lying. They're actually this dishonest type. They're not monogamous to the person they're with, the thing that they're committed to. If there was a better one, would they get up and head out? Maybe find a way, reason, eventually wiggle and weasel out towards it? Yes. And look around for proof. So that lands us, like, let's nudge back to the actual. Oh, that leaves, by the way, 1% of monogamous people who are monogamous to the people. Like, that's my estimation, my percentage, but you get the picture here. Tiny fraction of people are actually committed to the person, actually through sickness and health, actually like they say they are. And that's honest. And that's great. So anyways, let's get out of that horseshit, because the good type out of those two is that 1%, the very unlikely type. So it lands us back in monogamy towards principles. People who are monogamous to the principles they want. Like, no matter what, I want a good man or a good woman or a good relationship, however, and good is their own subjective pattern based on the principles that they really want and are attracted to. This is great. It's honest. It's great. However, it just needs to be, if you look at it at a different angle, it really ends up being rebranded as, you can see it's essentially polyamory slower. It's a slower form of polyamory. Because what people are saying is, I like you right now because you have the principles that I'm committed to. You display them, you show them, you embody them, and I'm attracted to you, and I now want to be with you. Whatever, however, so. And as soon as those principles stop coming from you, I'm going to stop coming to you. What's the difference between that and polyamory? Polyamory is an openness to multiple or different partners. It doesn't have to be multiple. It's just open love. It doesn't have to be sexual at all, or it can be sexual with many people. Look it up for yourselves, guys. If you think, there's a lot of quick misconceptions people usually driven by jealousy will try to contort polyamory into. So when you think or look up to try to understand polyamory, try to look past the first surface that your mind your jealous mind automatically thinks. And then, you'll find very little difference between someone who openly says they're polyamorous and openly says they're monogamous to principles that they like. The only real difference is that a polyamorous person just is just claiming that the principles they're even committing to, that might change. Their commitment to the principles they like. So they might like different principles down the road. I think that, by the way, is probably true with almost everybody. You learn about different principles, you learn about different, combinations of things and characteristics and traits. Or your taste changes as you age and as you mature and as you change, which you are changing, you are aging, you are maturing. Or at least you're changing. And so it's almost absolutely inevitable. I mean, frankly, it is inevitable that the principles you like are changing. So why commit to a certain set of them? Say you're monogamous to that. Anyways, the people who say they're monogamous to principles, they end up, well, let's say that was this finger, they end up really just being a slower form of the actual, here's 3 monogamy types. The actual smartest type essentially ends up being polyamory. In the actual definition of polyamory. Recap. Monogamy is commitment. Here's monogamy to people, to an actual person, one person. This is extremely rare. It's what maybe makes it seem like such a prize. But is it such a prize if it is so idealistic it's not really realistic? And that even when it's realistic, the extremely rare instances that it's realistic, it's frankly closed off, closed-minded, and you can really miss out on a lot. Then you have a dishonest version of the first type. Okay. Saying that you're monogamous to people, to a certain person, when really then they throw them out, because they're actually monogamous to principles. So being monogamous to certain principles is a little bit closer. It seems a little more like jiving, and it falls in line with reality, frankly. The reality we all live in. But we age, we mature, we change, and so those principles that we want maybe change. So why commit to them? Why not just like what you like, want what you want, and then just go do that, live that, be that, experience that. Polyamory. That's what polyamory means. It means I like love, for example, and I want to experience that. I open my heart to that and I experience it. I'm not tied down by any commitments, and I'm being completely honest with myself and those around me the whole time. It's clarifying monogamy.